Some new additions around the league in minicamp action. Certainly more to be revealed in the coming weeks. But there are some teams who have made themselves much better. Marcus Spears is here with a list. I'm sure he's got paperwork. You got paperwork? Okay. Here's your most improved teams, your top 5. Go ahead,
I got
Swag.
paperwork, Boogie. You know I have paperwork. I'm going Chicago, and I ain't going to Sky because even though they improved with Angel Reese, I'm going to Chicago Bears at number 1. Obviously, they draft Caleb Williams. You bring in Keenan Allen. You add DeAndre Swift. This offense should be very explosive, which we've been waiting on. I like what they did in the coaching staff as well. But to me, this Keenan Allen to lead this wide receiver core, a guy that Caleb Williams can depend on third down because we know how good he is. And don't sleep at the bottom on Kevin Byard in this defense as well. I think this team is marketably improved, and I think they're going to make some noise in that division, a young division that's playing well right now. At number 2, I'm going the Jets. And listen, this is very simple for me. This is health. And y'all going to hear us talk about it all off season leading into the year. But if this team can remain healthy, especially at the offensive line, we know it's a foregone conclusion that Aaron Rodgers got to stay healthy. If he stay healthy, this team is already better. But I love what they did with Morgan Moses. Tyron Smith has missed some games, but he can be a stalwart to lock down the edges. And don't sleep on Tyrod Taylor, a competent backup that you can go win games with in case Aaron Rodgers, something happens to him. 3, I'm going to Tennessee Titans. This was kind of a under-the-radar acquisition this year. Calvin Ridley to the Tennessee Titans, to me, is going to be huge. L'Jarius Sneed, as we know, a physical lockdown corner. I know my dog RC love that. But the explosiveness of Tony Pollard as well. This team got very explosive offensively with a young quarterback in Will Levis, who they're trying to see if he's the guy. Can he mature? He got a big arm. He can push it down the field. At number 4, I'm going to Houston, Texas. Now, you can make an argument that they should be number 1, but they were pretty damn good last year. They went to the playoffs and lost to the Baltimore Ravens. But they got Stephon Diggs, and I know everybody's going to talk about that. Joe Mixon, to me, a very unsung move. But Danielle Hunter and Danico Autry and this pass rush that they will have in Houston is going to make a difference in the AFC when we talk about quarterbacks, and you have to be able to get after those guys, especially in the playoffs. They learned some things, they self-evaluated, and they got better. And last but not least, I'm going Baltimore Ravens. And I know they had some guys leave, but Derrick Henry was enough for me to put them in the top 5. If Todd Monken, as I've said 1,000 times, does what the Ravens do best and are physical at the line of scrimmage when they get in the playoffs, because they are getting in the playoffs, Derrick Henry may end up being the guy that we have conversations about being potentially league MVP, about being in that conversation, and then especially when we get in the playoffs, being able to carry a load for the Baltimore Ravens that could walk them into the Super Bowl.
Okay. I just want to say real fast, Derrick Henry is not going to win the MVP. I think that is a bridge too far, just a little bit. But I really want to talk about, more than anything, the Bears, the Jets, and the Texans. And I agree that the Texans were already really, really good. So you might not even need to even put them on a top 5 most improved teams because they were already great. And now they're trying to be elite. But I do think that the additions put them in a position to be truly elite. I really, really do. I think the Texans have the ability to take a massive leap forward, and they just remind me so much of the Eagles in 22 of improving that pass rush to be able to get after the quarterback, as well as giving more weapons to a young up-and-coming wide receiver. And now you connect that with a great up-and-coming offensive coordinator and a defensive-minded head coach, and you're going to have a great defense, a great offense, a high-powered offense, and a high-powered defense. I don't even want to say great. Like, both are going to be high-powered, right? You're going to have big plays on defense and offense. There's going to be plenty of times that the Texans should have great field position just by virtue of getting after the quarterback incessantly. And so I just think that the Texans are going to be poised to be able to just really take advantage of that game after game, drive after drive. And I think that'll really boost the Texans up to true competitor status. Now to the Bears. it's obvious that the Bears are the most improved, right? Just getting Caleb Williams automatically puts you in them as the most improved. But then again, also I think some of their defensive moves are going off also a little under the radar. And I know people are excited to see what they'll be able to do offensively. But in a lot of ways, I think it'll be similar to what I'm saying about the Texans. Not so much exactly, right? They obviously didn't make the exact moves, and they don't, and their offenses are. And their defenses, for that matter, are constructed very differently and will most likely have very different approaches. But I just think that one of the best things that the Texans can do, or one of the best things that the Bears can do for Caleb and just for the Bears as a whole, is to make the game as easy as they can for Caleb. And what does that mean? That means in a couple ways is, one, playing good defense. So then that Caleb only has to maybe put up 21 points, right? His offense only needs to be able to get 21 points. Or many games he doesn't need to keep moving the chains. That there's many drives that he's getting the ball on the 40, the 50, hopefully the 30, like the other team's 30. Like that way you have a lot shorter of a field, right? And then that way it's a lot easier for Caleb to work, Caleb to get, situated, and it just relieves the pressure off him. And I think that the Bears defense is poised to be able to do that, as well as now there's a great mix of very mature, seasoned veteran weapons for Caleb to work with. That helps him tremendously. That was the thing that people were saying about the Packers, and why the Packers were kind of a little bit slow originally, was because they had a young quarterback with young weapons, and that's tough to do. There's too much going on. There's too much learning to do. There's too much overwhelming. All the players are too overwhelmed because they're all trying to figure it out at the same time. There's no one to carry that weight. That's not what the Bears have right now. The Bears have this great mix of really great young talent, as well as really great, more mature veteran statuses who are going to be able, that when the game does get a little tight, and maybe some of the younger guys do start to get a little tight, or I don't really know what to do in this situation, you now have the more mature seasoned veterans to be able to take charge, to be able to be like, I can step up in this moment. I can pick up Caleb if he's having kind of a bad drive or two, right? Whatever it may be. And I think that really, really matters for the success of the Bears. I think it's so great when you can have a mix of more mature seasoned veterans and young guys. And it's even better when some of the veterans aren't like past their prime, because sometimes we have that too. They get some of these guys that are real past their prime, and they're like, well, we need some veteran presence in the locker room. And it's like, yeah, they're great in the locker room, but come time on game day when they're on the field, they just can't do, right? They become all bark and no bite, and it just becomes kind of problematic. And then that leads me now also to the Jets, where the Jets are in a great situation because they also significantly improved. The big story about the Jets, more than any team, is truly the health, because they have so many of these injury-prone guys, or these guys that have had a lot of injuries in the past. And so to me, more than anything, it's all about, can they stay healthy? Which we talk about that with all the teams, right? All the teams need to stay healthy. But especially for the Jets, because if they actually can stay moderately healthy, right, just relatively healthy relative to any of the other teams around them, and not really lose a lot of guys, for long extended periods of time, I think it's a similar story with the Jets and the Bears, as in where the Bears were able to piece together some wins and actually make some moves that if they just had a better, higher functioning offense and a better quarterback, then they would have been significantly better and maybe even made the playoffs. And that's where the Jets are. Considering what the Jets were able to do with essentially a second or third string quarterback and zero offense from him, you add Aaron Rodgers and you improve the defense and you improve the offense. You have to imagine that this team is going to be significantly better than they were in the last couple of years. I don't see how that could even be remotely denied. So I think these teams can really be high. And I think the Ravens, I know I kind of tossed the Ravens and the Titans to the side, but to me, the big stories are the Texans, the Jets, and the Bears. The Ravens, I'll just say real fast, I'm not low on the Ravens. I think the Ravens are still going to be very competitive. I just don't know how much I believe in their ability to game plan come time playoffs. It's not that I don't trust the team and the roster and the players, but their approach to the playoffs was just so bizarre to me. Unless they actually learned their lesson and looked in the mirror and realized that it was their fault, the coaching's fault, then I don't see how the Ravens take that step forward. If they do recognize that this was on them, that they put their players in a position to not succeed and they game plan terribly and they figured out, okay, we know what to do, then I'll believe in the Ravens again. And so again, it's not that I'm trying to bring down the Ravens or I'm a Ravens hater. I was rooting for them last season. Big Lamar Jackson fan, but it's just that game plan was just so shocking to me. It's going to take more. It's going to take games this this coming season for me to forget about it, because that's the last time I saw them, and it's just hard to forget. And the Titans, I guess also I'll just say right now, I don't know who the heck their head coach is or who their quarterback is. In terms of like the quality, obviously I know who they are, but in terms of like what the heck can they do? Because I have no idea, and neither do you. A lot of Titans fans want to say, oh, this is a new era, let's go. And I get it. Cheer on your team. Be excited. Be optimistic. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just being honest from my perspective. I have no idea. I have no idea if Will Levis is going to work out as a quarterback in the league. I have no idea if their head coach is going to work out. I really don't. So I'm just, that's why I don't really have any thoughts about the Tennessee Titans, because they're a team that I definitely have to see 4, 5, 6, 7 games, this season and get a feel of like, okay, sure. Yeah. Will Levis is good. Or yeah, this coach, he got them going. Like it's just, I'm not going to just try to be first so I can, and just, make a prediction. But yeah, that's just the way I see it. It is interesting. This is a very interesting collection of 5 teams and the most improved teams, but I would maybe throw the Eagles in there too, because they got 2 new coordinators, Saquon Barkley. I would put them above the Ravens for sure, in terms of most improved. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this top 5 most improved teams, whether it's the Bears, the Jets, the Texans, Ravens, Titans, any team that you think got left out, or any of these teams that you think should be removed? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.